Hi friends, welcome back to my Cozy Crafty Cabin. So it is day 23 of my Christmas in July crafty series, and today we are going to be making these fun fold A2 size Christmas cards, and there's a pocket inside where you can slide in a gift card. So let's get started. So I'm using some solid cardstock and some Christmas pattern cardstock to make these fun fold cards. I really like this vintage Christmas cardstock pack that I have. So for your card base, now it's going to end up measuring like an A2 size card, 5.5 by 4.25 inches. But the first piece is going to measure 7 5/8 by 4.25 inches, and you're going to score it at 5.5 inches. And then the second piece is going to be 8.25 by 4 1/8, and you're going to fold that in half, so it's 4 1/8 by 4 1/8. So here's that larger base that's going to be the bottom base that you score at 5.5, and then here's the top base that's going to be 4 1/8 by 4 1/8. 4 1/8 by 4 1/8 when you fold it in half down the middle, and we're gonna glue it to the top like that. So for your mats, you're gonna need 3 pieces that measure 4 by 4, 2 pieces that measure 2 by 4 1/8, 2 pieces that measure 1 by 4 1/8, and 1 piece that measures 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. So yeah, I'm just showing you all the pieces. And you can cut these from, well, I'm using 2 different patterns for the mat. So 2 sheets of that pattern cardstock, and then your base, though, those 2 pieces you can cut from 1 piece of 8.5 by 11 cardstock. All right, so let's get ready and assemble the card. So that large mat, that 5 3/8 by 4 1/8, is going to get glued to the back of our card. Now I made a mistake and I cut this down. This is like a regular A2 size mat, like 5 1/4 by 4, I think is what I ended up cutting it. But I recommend cutting it a little bit bigger, right, at the 5 3/8 by 4 1/8, and then it's closer to your edges there, just like all of the mats are. All right, and then I'm just adding the mats to that left side fold piece. So this is where we glue down the 2 mats that measure 2 by 4 1/8 inches. So one on the front of that flap and the other on the back of that flap. And you can, of course, mix and match multiple sheets of paper. I just ended up using 2 designs for these cards. And you guys, I don't know what is going on, but I'm like, I guess I am due for a craft break because this took me like many trial and error. Like I kept cutting just the wrong dimensions. Anyways, this video almost was not made because I just kept making silly mistakes. So for these little skinny pieces, the 1 by 4 1/8 inches, this is me kind of like cheating. You can, of course, cut another large mat, like a 5 3/8 by 4 1/8, and glue it here. But since most of this back piece is going to get covered by that front card base, I just cut little strips to put on the ends, because then the rest of it's going to get covered right by this piece here. But feel free to, use a full-size mat to cover that whole back if you want to. So before we glue down that top card base now, I'm just going to add all of our 4 by 4 pieces to the 3 sides. So it's kind of backwards, right? Like it's going to open from left to right versus from right to left, or am I saying that right? But anyways, it's like not opening like a normal book, right? It's opening backwards. So yeah, we're gluing the 4 by 4 cut apart to the front, and then adding mats, our other two 4x4 mats to the inside. And you may want to, I probably should have used like a white mat or added a white mat, like layered one, onto one of these 4x4 mats so that someone could write a message, but I ended up not doing that for this card. But yeah, you may want to do that if you decide to make these. And you can always like add a stamp or something like that if you do a more like a white mat or a lighter solid color mat. And then yeah, once we have all of our 4x4 pieces glued down to this top card base, we're ready to glue it to our bottom card base. And you just want to basically center it as best as you can to your bottom card base. So yeah, I've never made like a fun fold style card before. Maybe that was it too. This is just like out of my comfort zone, and I don't know, I think I just need a break though, you know what I mean? I'm making silly, careless mistakes lately. Well, when I was trying to make my final projects for the month. So the last piece now is to I'm adding in a little pocket, and of course I'm using those mini coin envelopes from Dollar Tree. I cut it in half, so this ends up measuring it's 3.5 inches by about like 1 1/8 inch, I want to say. And I'm using that as our little pockets. So yeah, those coin envelopes from Dollar Tree that I've used many times now. So, and that's our final fun fold Christmas card. So you know how I was saying I did a lot of like trial and error? So here's some of the other cards I made. This is the first one I made. So this one's a little bit different. Like that front piece is different dimensions because I'm using a smaller cut apart. But yeah, this is the first one, my first attempt. And then here's another attempt where instead of using like a cardstock base and then mats, I just used like 2 pieces of cardstock. I was trying to cheat and use less paper, but I think it's just like too flimsy. I think this needs a card base, a cardstock base, and then gluing on your mats, if that makes sense. So here's another one I made with like craft cardstock, but I didn't add a back mat to it. And then here's the one we made together. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for my last video for this Christmas in July Crafty series. All right, bye.